All right. Well, thank you everybody for being here. I'm really excited about implementing a bunch of stuff today. I've done a lot this last week to really get us into a good spot to be able to continue moving forward so that we're not just stuck with trying to constantly build these abilities and whatnot. We definitely are in an asset implementation sort of phase here where most of the systems and code are implemented. There are definitely always going to be more code to be written, but the game exists. It's here. There's a loop. It's kind of cool and swag. So the first thing that I'm going to point out, currently the game's purple. Um, and it's purple for a couple of reasons. The main reason is because last week we were implementing the like astral shader onto the view of the game, and it it was nice to implement. We were doing some like rendering thing, and it would happen after the main rendering cycle, whatever. But it was really hard to like split the view. But if we just literally put a big fucking square on top of everything, we can do this like weird camera splitting thing. I also want to point out something cool that I literally just tested on Aaron's branch. If you, for some reason, don't already have, so this is my game view. If your workshop scene doesn't have the game manager or just has the game manager, it should be able to initialize itself fully from scratch. So effectively, all you need is the game manager and ideally some sort of ground. But I don't even think the players fall through the ground when they spawn. Um, but yeah, so just like proof of concept, all I have here is the game manager. I'm gonna bring this over a little bit. All I have here is the game manager. You'll notice that we have no camera, no UI, um, no fmod things, nothing, and the system is built in a way to be able to just kind of initialize itself entirely, which is pretty cool and swag. So you should be able to just drag the prefab of the game manager into the game, and it'll put the UI in. We can even see fmod here, and a couple of other things. You all you have to do is set these inputs and start game, and then it'll spawn here. So that's cool and swag. I'm going to can I move this? Get out of my way. So there's a couple things. Um, as before, we still have the interact like UI stuff. I still need to update these to match. Well, they are showing gamepad controls. I don't think the gamepad controls are fully set up. Just a reminder, this is a gamepad first game. We're aiming for like Xbox Game Pass type deals is where we're going with this game. And the game will ideally be played either with two controllers or one controller. So also keep that in mind. So you should be able to test the game with one controller in its entirety, in the same way that you can play the game right now with one keyboard. Um, and yeah, you'll notice that we have some new UI things where, based off of where the characters are on the screen, it kind of just follows around. I thought this was good I was like trying to figure out good situations to, like, instead of just having the hearts at the top of the screen all the time, make it so that there's specific, this is obviously the very rough version, but there's specific UI that is related to both characters that actually moves with them depending on where they are on the screen. So that's why that's there. It's a bit chunky and I'm not entirely happy with it, but the code is there at least, which is the main thing. And yeah, I did put out a video earlier this week that shows off the resonant abilities. So I'll just demonstrate that a little bit here. We do have our villager echo right here. Should have a heart inside the statue that you can see, but I didn't add that yet. But each of these cats have hearts that will turn on when you're in your astral realm. So when you eventually die, you'll end up in the astral realm, and this is where that plane comes into place here. So we'll actually like apply a whole shader and make it milky and make it move and possibly give it a gradient and do some fun stuff with it. But this is specifically in the astral plane layer, and we also have a camera in here that in one of these. So right now, player one camera is this um, astral camera that exists. And this will only show things that are placed in the astral realm. This goes for any sort of assets as well. If I really wanted to prove that point, I could just go and let's do create 3D object cube. I'm gonna set that to the astral realm and throw that here. And in the game, you should be able to see it on violets. But on blues, it actually just disappears. I think a better way to do this is... Ooh, let's not lose the heart. Well, I literally don't know where that cube is. Where is it? Oh, there it is! Exactly. Exactly my point. So if you're making puzzles or interactables for things and trying to figure out the difference between... or like just show and hide astral and mortal realm objects, that's how you do it. You literally just set it to the astral realm. Now, I will say that there should... Maybe there's not a collider on it. Maybe I just didn't put a collider on it. Is there a collider on this? There's a collider on this. Why can't I anyways, we'll figure that out later. Ideally, blue also collides with something that's in the astral realm, but you can't see it. But we'll get there. Get there eventually. Okay, cool. So then I'm just gonna, we know about the heart tether thing. So the loop is here that we want violet in the astral realm to be able to see the color of the hearts of the cats. That is our listen ability, if you're following along for the resonant abilities. That is literally just a trigger. It's just a trigger attached to the player. You can see that underneath player violet, body, ability parent, and then we are the resonant ability literally just has the sphere collider, if you wanted to see it, and it's fucking huge. It could use some updates. There are some other things to add to it, but I think for the main purpose is that it just shows the current heart. And technically, you should not be able to empathize if you're not in mortal, but that's how if you hit Q right now for violet, and then it's also, I think it's O for blue, you have the empathize ability. So the loop is basically, okay, all right, I'm figuring out this should also, the echo should have a heart that shows that it's an anxious statue. So I'm gonna go over and I'm gonna be like, oh, okay, this cat is anxious, and have blue come over here and kind of take a look at it, and then use the empathize ability, and you can see that the heart color changed in the UI. I'm gonna go hide the, where's the interface stuff. Actually, you know what, I'll leave it, it's fine. You can see the color. If I move this way, you can see that color changed. I can also go over here, hit O for blue, and you can see how we're empathizing. Now this is like a very, you know, obviously it's literally just an arrow and then it's gone. We can add some more VFX. There's definitely going to be a sound effect there for charging up and then transferring the emotion over and all that stuff. But that's that ability for now. And then, so now I know blue has this, and then ideally, blue is able to go ahead and interact with the echo. I think I broke it. It with it like yesterday. But in the video, you can see that this actually does will work. Let's see if I can fix it. Can we? We don't have an icon parent ready. I think blue's thing is messed up. for some reason. I have to go debug that. But well, let's res Violet and see if it's if I can fix it. Because I know this works. That's also a sneak peek to some of the UI updates. Let's do this, and here we go. So we resed Violet, and now, oh my god, I killed both of them. Well, I guess we're restarting. I can't believe I did that. I literally killed both of them. Oh my goodness. So I'm just gonna, I obviously know which one's the anxiety cat, so we're gonna go do that real quick. This one's the anxiety cat. I'm gonna take this, and then we should, yeah, that doesn't work. I need to fix it. I think I changed something with the way that it initializes, so quick fix, I promise, 5 minutes. We'll get there eventually. But yeah, so there's that loop. I have kind of just like, I'm not gonna focus on the, oh goodness, there was we had just talked about it. Oh, the here, where, you put it in here. It was the destabilize, yes. Okay, so the destabilization of holding an emotion that's not yours and all that stuff. I'm not going to worry about that yet. We can start worrying about that once that major game loop is there and we have the whole thing with the echoes being unlocked and puzzles and the cats moving and all that stuff. Then we can try to make it more complex and add in game mechanics. So there's that. I did that. Those are those abilities, and that's the UI updates. There are more updates. So I'm going to go to my inky scene here, and this is the scene that I've been using to test for inky stuff. And I was like, it's not just inky stuff, I still had to do some camera layering, so I did a lot of camera layering updates and things like that, which is really nice. I'm glad that we have the astral very visually now, and then we have interaction with the NPCs. So I'm gonna move this. I need to make those fucking hearts smaller. But interaction with the NPCs actually goes ahead and activates the stitch and knot that I was talking about earlier. Just for proof here, let me show this inspector. So the stitch and knot here is the default and the interaction default. I do need to make the icon go away, but obviously we have this here, and as you go ahead and interact with them, it will slowly go through all the things and then delete the dialogue when you're done, and then break the entire interaction because something's not set properly. Cool. Big swag. But it's there, it spawns. But the bigger thing is that I also want to show off the UI camera layering. Now this bitch, alright, this took me a second, and I had to really figure out what I want to do with this. And I'm gonna change this. We're gonna put it on the fountain. I wanted to really figure out how we're gonna do UI layering over the split screen stuff, and this was a whole thing. I swear I saw there was like a concept for this. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Is it in here maybe? By the way, M's assets are so good. This is amazing. Look how cute that is. And I'm really excited to be able to, like, these are all white sprites, so you can very easily, yes, exactly. I deserve so much applause. These sprites are, where is it? Where are the sprites? Or did I spawn it in here? Dialogue parent, yes, here. So, I think, so text area, I'm just going to change the backing color, but you can in fact change the color of these, which I thought is amazing, so we can do that uniquely for every character and give them their own color palette and stuff like that. Always fun. Also, these are individual assets, so like if we really wanted to animate them separately for some reason, then we could do that. Awesome things. Also, the like you see the shadow. The shadow is just baked into that. It's awesome. We don't have to do any fucking lighting bullshit with it, which is really cool. But so there's this, and I can't find the concept, but watch this. Watch. Whoa!
Wow.
It's over the actual split screen. So when you're interacting with Violet, and well, when Violet interacts with someone who's talking to her, and Blue is going off into the distance, it just stays on that side of the screen. It's so cool. Don't think I've ever seen a game do this mechanic before. I'm like stupid happy about this. It makes us so unique that we could just do that. And look, it still has the shadow around on the other camera. It's so cool. It's so cool. So yeah, so I'm very proud of that, obviously. Now there's definitely like obviously there's gonna be some design parts of this that we might need to adjust. Like obviously here, like you can't see your head and Blue can go behind this bubble. But the fact that we can even fucking do this right now is amazing, and I'm really happy to continue to iterate on it. Oh, it's so cool. It's so cool. Sorry, this is the stuff I get excited about. So, yeah. So yeah, I got the inky stuff. And definitely, there's always going to be things for inky. But I think I had to do some cleanup with it to make, I don't know, there's just, I was talking to Jackson about it. I was like, yeah, this is kind of what happens when you work on the same scripts for a while. Eventually you start looking back at your old scripts and you're like, so this could have been done better. So I spent some time updating it. It could use some more updating, but if you're just like looking at the entire project view here and you're just like, damn, I really don't know where the inky script is, and writers, I don't expect you to have to go searching through this entire thing and know where everything is. I made it nice and easy. The main file here, you can just hit open and it will just open in inky for you. You are welcome. That took me an hour. But honestly worth it. Also worth it for me, because then I don't have to go searching for it. Also, if it just needs to get refreshed, you can refresh it. And it'll update the knots and stitches and stuff. And I will make this cleaner and prettier eventually. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I think there's always going to be more things, but I'm very proud of the amount that was able to get done this week. And I'm really excited to continue to enable you guys to make some more cool shit. So, yeah. I would really like to start getting this set up into, both Inky and then, the villager echoes. Like, those definitely I want to really focus on getting the villager echoes set up, and the cats do need to also get set up, but those are just like, they just need to get rigged and animated and move around, and that's not as difficult and tricky as having the whole villager echo blocking the path and then spawning a villager that is also rigged and animated and walks around and has dialogue. Like, that's definitely more. So that's the goal. Any questions or requests for demonstration or further demonstration or things like that? Okay, cool.
Oh wait, no, I
Oh
have a
yeah,
question.
what's up?
Oh yeah, no. So I arrived a little late. I wanted to know more about how these specific abilities were working or whatnot. Because I did kind of miss that and I wasn't able to see it in the video that you posted.
Yeah, let's do it.
Thank you.
Let's go through it again. So I'll go into this a little bit in more depth. If you don't care or it doesn't relate to you, you are free to leave. But also, I think today we have a small enough group that it's not the worst thing ever for us to all just stay together, unless you guys need to pair up. Honestly, I would kind of expect Alicia and Eli to pair up and work on Inky together. Just make sure that you are. I will come and join you if you do decide to leave, but make sure you are talking to each other today and getting set up in Inky, because it's definitely it's go time for Inky right now. I'm gonna start implementing choices here soon. Um, okay, so I'm gonna go back to my abilities, and so I'll do the fuller demonstration of how things get implemented here, because I just kind of glanced over them. But so we did have the conversation of toys and trying to make things a bit more simplified and self-contained is the main thing that I've really been pushing. And I think this is just like, you don't really know how to explain it until you eventually can you stumble into explaining it, but I would say that this is definitely my ethos for development in general is like self-contained items that kind of or like objects and prefabs that kind of just do what they're supposed to do, like they're one maybe a couple jobs and that's it, and we build systems that enable them to do their unique things. So basically what I did for the listenability, we'll just start there, is the listenability is a prefab that exists under abilities, resonant abilities, and then it's just listen. So if I drag this in here, turn on gizmos, we can see a couple things. And I'm going to bring this over here. So this is literally just a script that reads the trigger and turns it gets the emotional resonance and then just turns on and off the heart. Um, and each one of these emotional resonance scripts obviously has that um, thing here. We have our ability handling here. It's just displaying the heart. We'll probably actually I'm gonna do this right now since I'm doing this. I'm updating the heart to only be in the astral realm so that it'll just show on the astral camera. A couple of these things have been like well it's also like learning. Well, the I guess the abilities by themselves didn't really need to be based in the different astral realms, but or different realms, but we definitely will start playing around with camera stuff now that it's definitely fully set up, and what to hide and what to show. So let's start the game, and then so this is oh, this is not where I started today, but it's all right. We can nah. Let's go to workshop. Yeah. Okay. And then these should have updated. Let me just make sure that the hearts are still in astral. Yes, we love prefabs. Okay. So, all that happens here. All that happens here for the listen ability, that is tied to the um, death ability, quote unquote. It's kind of funny to call it an ability because it's literally death. You have no agency over it. But let's see here. Oh, I can look at Violet's. Let's go to Violet's entity config ability kit. So the ability kit, you'll see that we still have the Violet Mortal Death here. But if I open up Mortal Death, I'm going to do this actually. I'm going to open up any properties. Mortal Death has both the heart tether that we did before, the heart and the dead body, but then we also have this listen prefab. And that literally just does the one mechanic that we wanted it to do. So that would still be the trigger. So I'm just going to go ahead and kill myself and player Violet in the body under ability parent. We have the listen prefab, which is still that big trigger that spawns here. And you'll see that it activates the hearts so that Violet can see it. Also, if the hearts are now that the hearts are in a specific realm, Let me make sure we do this. You can kind of see how they show and hide based off of which side of the camera is showing it. And that was the main idea. Oh, it's so cool now that it's working. Oh, I fucking love that. Anyways, so, oh my god, I lost my heart. I did that in the I did that in the demo too. It just goes off into the distance. Um so yeah, so that's the listen ability. Okay, and then I'll do empathize, but I have to restart. And I also have a note to put a damping on the velocity. Oh, I also wanted to point out that the um, did you see the part that I showed off the astral plane coloring thing, Ruben?
Yes, I
You
did
did?
see that. I did
Okay.
see that, which I found really impressive. I definitely think I could use like the shader that I was using and rate it to
Yeah,
red
that's
square, so that way it has like a.
yeah, that's what I was thinking. I thought you could just drag and drop it and put it onto this texture. It just means that we
I
don't
mean,
have to
yeah,
mess with it as much
yeah, no,
anymore.
I can do that. I'll just have to change the shader from a full screen shader to like a normal shader.
Right. But I am definitely excited to see this get adapted. And this was a
Yeah,
lot
well,
easier. It was mainly just implementing that camera. And oh
yeah.
boy, there are. Let me just point out this structure of the camera real quick. We got one, two, we got the main camera, and then we got one, two, three, four, five, six, seven cameras underneath it that are all displaying different things. And it's all layered, and part of that's UI and part of it's astral, and they all just get kind of triggered on and off depending on what's happening. And I updated the camera manager here to have this like registry of them as well, so it's a bit easier to just turn them on and off based off an enum. So there's all that, but let's go back to the game. Um, yeah, so there's this, which would, so this is just the empathize ability here, which is tied to ability one, um, which if I, so this is actually, I did actually implement this with a config. So this config is attached to ability one, and then we did, so it is an um, aiming type of ability. So I did put this in here, and I need to make that a bit more clear. I did write that down. Is that the config itself needs to like get updated a bit more, because it's not pretty and it's not well described in itself. But basically, if you don't put it on cast on it expects itself to aim. So I just use this aim indicator, and then when it casts, which is basically on release of the aim, then it casts the empathize prefab. And this prefab actually is, I'm going to stop it here. It's also just one script, but with sensor. And I put the sensor underneath. But this is where it spawns. I had the sensor go out on the Z direction. Um, and whenever this is also just its own script, and then I will show this. I did add this interface. But basically, it gets spawned, it has the sensor, and then when it is initialized, it executes the scan and then um, calls the empathy thing for the emotional resonance. And this is the one thing that I think was like confusing in general with implementing like an ability and then trying to have it like basically give back data to the entity, um, which it is not typically you want to think about that as like or typically you're when you're first building you're like you think about that as like okay I just need this to constantly have a reference to whatever thing I need to pass data over to. But in this case, I just had it. It just has this initialize function here, which let me show where that actually gets used. So in instantiating the state, you can actually just go ahead and initialize this. Um, like if it has an ability extension, it will do some initialization, and then in that initialization, it is past the handler. Um, oh, sorry, not the handler, the ability that it is being cast from. So then all of your data that can be managed and adjusted can be passed from there, but it doesn't mean that we have to constantly pass this because the listen ability doesn't even have this. It doesn't even need to adjust any data. The only one that needs to in this case is the empathize. So we pass the ability data, and in this case, then we go ahead and find. We check to see if the ability has what is it? We have the it's like if it's not if we check to make sure that the ability handler is an entity ability handler, and then we get the entity from that handler here, and then
Mhm.
in checking in the scan of the sensor, we check all the colliders, we check for an entity, and then if we did find the entity but it's not itself, which is why it's checked here, then we do the comparison and have that entity empathize with the resonant emotional resonance.
And then from there, it uses the emotional resonance ability that I used.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, the function. Yeah.
It's just the
Okay. Yeah.
structure of it is like we're taking all
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
stuff out of the config. We want to keep the config as like vague as possible, and all of the actual like checks happen in the spawned ability. Um,
Hmm.
and the only thing that I added here was just this interface that can be checked by the ability. Well, is checked by the ability. Is just like it just
Yeah.
if it has it, then we initialize. If it doesn't, then we don't need to, which is really nice. It just means that, and that's the only thing that we really need to pass. If we need to pass something else, we could add it here. But honestly, it's just that reference to the ability, because everything else is set in the ability. You can get the handler, you can get the entity, you can check which entity it is. Like all that stuff just happens through that one reference, which is really nice. So there's that. But yeah, and then I basically just restructured what you did, into this structure
Yeah.
here. And then the
Yeah.
main
No. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the main thing that I did here is this sensor. It has this unique shape, but it rotates with the ability handler as the player looks around. So it just kind of scans to see if something's in there, and then it does its thing. And then from there, when the emotion is changed on the player, then the UI updates. So that kind of all just like it's a chain reaction, really, which is really nice. We love that. We love a good chain reaction. I really don't. I want to avoid having like a big function that does all the things that need to get set when
Yeah.
activating
I did.
something. So that updates, and then so the harmonize, and part of the reason why this isn't working right now is because I updated the way that the system initializes things, and I think it's literally. Let me see. Let me see if I can go find it. What were you gonna say, Ruben?
Oh yeah. No. I used. I really do like the way it's like newly structured. It was a lot more organized than the way I had it, because it felt like I was just adding way too many things into like the config,
Yeah.
and I felt like it was just overloading it with so many different things. Um, yeah,
Well,
no,
I mean, honestly, a good chunk of that is my fault, but it also is like, it's hard to explain a thing when there isn't a good example of it. One, and then because we're just talking about it in concept, but then actually implementing it is kind of hard. And also two is just like I'm kind of guessing too. The only reason why I realized that it was like really getting bloated is because there wasn't a structure for it. So that's
yeah,
why I
no,
built the ability extension. I had no idea that like I never prefaced that that's the direction that we needed to go. So it was just like I kind of just had to do some finagling and like think about like, okay, what's a better way to handle this, and then just having
Yeah,
this
no,
is
it definitely
basically a
seems.
visitor pattern. If you remember or know what that is really just um,
Is it different than like? Okay, I'm not familiar with the visitor pattern.
yeah, it's basically there's a thing that visits other stuff. There's a thing that basically it's like there's a visitor and a visitee, and the visitee can
Hmm.
accept the visitor, and then does stuff with that visitor, but only when it is called. I don't know. I could totally send you the page for it, but I use that a
Oh yeah, no,
lot, and I
definitely.
actually part of the reason why the
Yeah, it
inner
felt similar to like an observer pattern, but instead of like multiple things, it's just like one thing.
yeah, I basically use it for initialization, and it's probably why this is bunk right now. But I made all of this is it's the same thing that I did with the interactable and interaction system. Is basically the interaction system doesn't really do much outside of initializing the interactables and storing a reference to them. Um,
Uh,
but yeah, in an observer pattern, I just use a lot of listeners, honestly, for that. Um, but yeah, so basically with the echo, or sorry, not the echo, for the harmonize ability, it's also not an ability that really gets spawned. I mean, we could do it that way, but I felt like, and I think the way that let me go find the doc. It's
I
right
mean,
here.
the structure I'm understanding of how you have it is basically you made it a separate prefab. Each of the abilities of a separate prefab, but then um, the player is now just interacting, and then it interacts with that prefab, and then after that, it tries to contact the thing that it interacts with.
Yeah, and it does
I
stuff
feel
with
like
it,
you
but
should,
all of that logic
I
is
feel.
held on its own. Like I
Mhm.
was able to test
Yeah.
the prefabs without the players present.
I feel like that should be ideal for the other abilities, where they should be a prefab on its own.
Yeah,
I mean, the structure may be different, but I feel like as long as it's well contained on its own, it should be ideal because it could be a lot more easier, and that felt like the structure that you were going with originally.
yeah. And then I think I just wanted to point out that for the harmonize, I actually just turned it into a normal interaction. So when you
Yeah,
interact with the echo, it checks to see if you have the. Well, first of all, it should check to see that you're in the mortal plane, but then it checks to see if you have the emotion that it needs, and then if it does, then on its own that object goes ahead and
Oh yeah, wait.
transforms and spawns its
Are you
its
still using?
villager.
Are you still using like the same format of like how I formatted the emotional data? You know, the serializable uh, script that basically holds whether an emotion is. Oh wait, no, you said that it wasn't necessary to make it a boolean to make a destabilized emotion because any emotion can become destabilized.
Yeah, something like that. I'm not gonna worry about the
Yeah,
destabilization yet. I want to make
yeah,
sure
a
that
little bit, yeah.
the the full loop is there, or at least most of that loop, and then see if we need to complicate it further. I like the destabilization concept. I don't think it's necessary. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so I
Gotcha.
think all of the abilities are here. It's now at this point is just starting to do VFX, and visualizations and like animations for all of the abilities and um, build the fucking level is the main thing. So yeah, so we're kind of out of the woods with abilities right now. Um,
Yeah.
I, but that's the framework that we will continue to build abilities with, especially for the other areas and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, I definitely think that's like easier, especially since that's the. Yeah, no, the other thing I wanted to compliment you with is that I like that structure of the whole ability being a prefab because now it makes it easier also to include effects as its own
Right.
individual thing.
Yeah, which is
Yeah,
really nice. So,
really, really good. Yeah.
um, thank you, thank you. Okay, I'm gonna stop the recording there.